Hey you guys, this is Josh Vision, and I'm here to give my Season 1, Episode 8 review of The Witcher. So, in this episode, we start off with The Witcher fighting these zombie-like creatures. But before he even gets, we even get to that point, we meet this character, I believe his name is Zerga something, and Zerga is actually burying the dead from the whole Century attack against the Nilfgaardians. So the Witcher, like I mentioned before, he's fighting these zombie creatures, and he's able to kill them off. Despite them being very good fighters, he kills them off with about medium difficulty. But it turns out he gets like a really significant wound to his leg. So the majority of the episode, the Witcher is basically in a wagon, or basically being like dragged essentially on a wagon by Zerga, going in and out of consciousness, having hallucinations, flashing back from his youth until this point. So through these hallucinations, we actually get a little bit of backstory when it comes to him, to Geralt. We meet his mother, actually, who turns out to be a sorceress, and we know it's because she's able to turn an apple, basically turn from nothing like an apple, essentially. She has red hair. We also see young Geralt basically practicing being a witcher, or at least a soldier, with like a bucket on his head and him fighting with a wooden sword. We also see the conflict that they have, because it's actually due to his mother's help that he's actually able to survive able to survive the attack, because I believe his mother mentioned the fact that if it wasn't for his mutations that he got as a witcher, basically he would have died if he's just a normal human being, because a witcher, his heartbeat or his heart rate is like 4 times lower than the average human. So we have the Witcher recognize the voice and look upon the woman, and then he basically says to her, "Hey, don't call me Geralt." He's like, "Do you look at my eyes? Do you not see what Yesemir did to my eyes? Do you know the process?" So we see that his mother is clearly like uncomfortable about talking about that. So there's clear regret on her end for essentially giving up her own child. Now, if we remember from, I believe, episode 7, remember what Calanthe said, the queen, Ciri's grandmother. She said, "What would you know about family? Your own mother, gave you up." So I really like this episode. We have that connection in a way. 2 episodes later, the mother actually did care about the son, but the whole business about how this even happened, how he became a witcher, I'm interested to see in season 2. So she basically says that, listen, what's done is done, but you have your duty. Your duty is to basically protect and save Ciri. So stop bitching, essentially, and what's done is done. Do your duty, essentially. So when it comes to Ciri, we see that Ciri is basically saved and put on a horse by this woman, this kind woman, essentially. And basically Ciri rests at her house for a couple days. Now let's get to Yennefer and this whole battle with the Nilfgaardian army. So Yennefer is with 60 mages, I believe, and one of them being Triss. Her name's Triss, actually. Remember the one we met around episode 3? That one? So yeah, and we've seen the previous episode. So Triss Merigold, essentially. So her, Triss Merigold, Tissaia, and some other mages, along with Yelgafar, they're actually on their way to Sudden Hill, because Sudden Hill is basically like the last stand, the last place, that's going to be able to resist the Nilfgaardian army, before the Nilfgaardian army is able to completely take control of the continent. So we see that Vilgefortz is basically, he's really interested about Yennefer. He likes Yennefer's not giving a freak attitude, her boldness and her brashness, and her being somewhat of an a-hole, but he doesn't really trust her, and he wonders what her real intentions are. And she doesn't tell him, because one, she don't trust him either. So it's like a mutual affair, in a sense. So they managed to get to Sudden Hill, and we see there's lots of refugees from Sentry and other places that basically found their way to this place to escape, the Nilfgaardian army. So we see them preparing, for battle, for war, and we see Tessia actually being happy for once. Usually we see her being very serious, very strict, very on the eye on the prize, but she's actually enjoying herself, like it's going to be her last night or something. We see her and Yennefer actually have a conversation, which Yennefer's like, "You know what, I'm ready to die. I can't have kids. I don't have anything to leave this world. F it. If I'm going to die, I'm going to go down fighting." And I believe that Tessia's like, listen, you have plenty left to give to the world. You know, have some faith in yourself. You know, you have, I mean, as she keeps repeating, like, there's more, you have a lot more of your journey, you know, to live out, essentially. So, that leads us to the battle. Now, the Nilfgaardian army, which is led by the mage, what's her name? I believe is Yngella or Yngella or something like that. Let's just call her Yenny. Yenny, like Henny. Get it? So we just call it like Yngella. Basically, she's like she's the mage, you know, with the Nilfgaardian army, and the Nilfgaardian army is doing a hell of a job taking down, you know, the people that sat, you know, the Southern Hill, essentially. And I believe that Yngella actually has some of her proteges actually make fireballs, essentially, to throw at Southern Hill, at the defenses in the forts, and Yennefer is actually able to stop a few of them. Another thing that's very interesting, that Yngella is actually able to, she was able to use like some worms, some black worms from this box, and apparently that had some type of mind control type of gigs with some of the people. This whole episode was crazy because you had trees poisoning people. You had some of the mages like throwing telekinesis stuff, like throwing fireballs. You had Cahir versus Freak. I keep forgetting Vilgefer. Yeah, Vilgefer. You know, they had a really good sword fight. At one point, Yennefer was actually disarmed, and he was like, "What's your real purpose here?" And Cahir's like, to find, you know, I forgot what Cahir said, but it was basically referencing Ciri. And I believe he kicked Vilgefer actually down like the hill and knocked him out, essentially. But here's the thing with Vilgefer, right? I don't trust him. I really don't trust this dude. Just his demeanor and all that stuff. It seemed like he could have done a much better job than he actually did against Cahir, but whatever. We'll see season 2, because I don't think he's dead at all. Knocked out, yes, but dead, no. So we have this scene with Yennefer and Yngella, essentially, and no, Fringilla. Fuck, I finally got it right. Fringilla, essentially. So I believe Jella basically tells Yen that being a part of the Nilfgaardians gave her freedom and power. You know what I mean? She could do what she wanted and what she wished anytime she wants, and that if Yennefer joins her, she can also feel that power. Ironically, the next scene, we see that Yennefer actually is told by Tessia, who's gravely injured, to let all your chaos go. Let it all out. You know what I mean? In a way, kind of like Gohan for Dragon Ball Z when he went Super Saiyan 2. Let all your pissed off anger out. Let them know your pain, essentially. So Yennefer, in my opinion, does one of the most top things of this whole season. Like the top moment of the season. She lets out everything. Her magic, like her fire magic. All the BS, all her talents came all out. And it wipes out basically the majority, if not all, of the Nilfgaardian army, with Cahir actually observing it. And we see that the Temerian army and the Khadan army, which I believe are the two armies that were supposed to meet up with the refugees and the soldiers that were left in the Southern Hill within 2 days' time, who finally made it, they're on their way. And I found it interesting, actually, that the whole people from Khadan, because I believe that's actually where Geralt is from, is Khadan, which is the land of, some of the Witchers. So I'm interested to see what those people actually look like in their viewpoints, towards Witcher and so on and so forth. So after that, we see that Ciri has a dream, and it's Yennefer being, I believe Tessia and Geralt are both calling for Yennefer, but Yennefer is not seen anywhere. So it makes you wonder, where the hell is Yennefer after that? So Ciri wakes up, and then it turns out the house she was actually at, the woman she was with, is actually the wife of the guy who's actually helping out the Witcher, who's been dragging him along the wagon, this whole entire time, essentially. So the Witcher finally meets Ciri after 8 episodes, finally. And they embrace, and then the last thing that Ciri says to the Witcher is, "Who's Yennefer?" So yeah, that's everything, you guys. I believe I hit everything, So yeah, I give this episode literally a 9.5 out of 10. This was my favorite episode of the season. I really love the moment in which we finally met the Witcher's mother. I loved we see Yennefer finally let all her power, like rage, essentially let all them out, and that beautiful image of her fire magic just covering the army and the forest and all that, and the fact that we don't know what happened to her. Is she really gone? Is she there somewhere? Is she hurt? So on and so forth. Has she been captured? Like, so many questions leading up to season 2. And Vilgefer, honestly, too. Like, I wonder what his thing is, because I really don't trust the dude. So what do you guys think? Write in comments down below. Adios, Josh Vision. Until next time.